Welcome back to Coding. Today we're taking a deep dive into the world of cybersecurity, and some of these things might make you feel anything but calm.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got some articles here about ransomware, data breaches, and some seriously sneaky hacker tactics.
It's true. The online world can feel like a minefield. But like navigating any tricky terrain, a good map and the right tools can really make all the difference.
Okay, so let's start with e-skimming. Sounds like something you would do with a pool skimmer, but it's actually way more sinister.
Mm.
So imagine you're buying something online, maybe a new keyboard for all the coding you're doing. And everything seems normal. You've entered your credit card info and hit submit. But hidden within that checkout page, malicious code is capturing your data in real time.
Yeah, it's a stealthy attack, like a digital pickpocket. The website functions perfectly normally, so you would never suspect anything was wrong.
Right.
It's no wonder that almost 200,000 select lines of customers were affected, and for almost 9 months without anyone noticing.
9 months. That's a long time for hackers to be siphoning off credit card data. So what can people do to protect themselves? I'm already getting a little paranoid just thinking about it.
Vigilance is key. Regularly check your bank statements for any unusual activity. You might also consider using a virtual credit card for online purchases, which generates temporary card numbers for each transaction, making it much harder for hackers to steal your actual credit card information. And always, always make sure you're shopping on secure websites. Look for the HTTPS and the URL and that little padlock icon.
Good to know. So, on to something that feels like it's been in the news a lot lately. Ransomware attacks. One of these articles says that a whopping 83% of UK organizations were hit by ransomware last year. And apparently, AI is making these attacks even more dangerous.
Absolutely. AI allows attackers to automate and scale their attacks, making them much harder to defend against. And what's even more concerning is that they're increasingly targeting ERP systems. These systems are absolutely crucial for businesses.
Hold on. ERP systems. For those of us who don't work in corporate IT, can you break down what those are and why they're such a big deal?
Sure. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Think of it like the central nervous system of a business. These systems manage everything from financials and human resources to supply chains and customer data. A successful ransomware attack on an ERP system can really bring a company to its knees.
Wow, so it's not just about losing some files, it's about potentially disrupting the entire operation.
Mhm.
So what can businesses do to protect these vital systems?
One common vulnerability is that ERP systems are often managed separately from other IT infrastructure, which can create security gaps. It's crucial to integrate ERP security into the broader cybersecurity strategy. Think continuous monitoring, robust access controls, regular backups, and even AI-driven threat detection.
So it's like, don't treat your ERP system like a separate island. It needs to be part of the overall security fortress. Okay, let's move on to another article that caught my eye. This one's about hackers sneaking malicious packages into software repositories like PyPI. They even use this tactic called typo squatting, which sounds like some kind of exercise move, but it's actually pretty devious.
Right. It's all about exploiting human error. Think about it. You're rushing to download a popular software library, maybe something like Fabric for Python, but you're tired, you make a typo, and instead of Fabric, you type Fabrice and hit download. Boom, you've just installed a malicious package that looks almost identical to the real deal.
Hang on, are you serious? So one little typo could lead to downloading malware. That's terrifying, especially considering how often we download packages and libraries as developers.
It happens more than you think. In fact, one malicious package disguised as Fabrice was downloaded over 37,000 times. That's why it's so important to pay close attention to the details. Double-check the package name, the developer information, and make sure it's coming from a legitimate source.
Okay, I'm officially paranoid about typos now. Let's talk about another sneaky tactic, fake job offers. This article says Iranian hackers are using fake job postings to lure people into downloading malware. And they're even copying the tactics of a North Korean hacking group. It's like international espionage. But in the cybersecurity world.
It highlights how cybercrime is becoming increasingly global and sophisticated. This specific campaign is called Dream Job, and it specifically targets professionals in the aerospace industry. They create incredibly convincing fake recruitment websites and social media profiles, and then they send malicious files disguised as part of the onboarding process. Things like application forms or non-disclosure agreements.
So that dream job offer you're excited about could actually be a nightmare in disguise. What can people do to avoid falling for this trap? It seems like it would be hard to tell the difference between a legitimate job offer and a fake one.
It's all about being cautious and doing your due diligence. If a job offer seems too good to be true, it probably is. Be wary of unsolicited offers, especially if they come with a sense of urgency, like download this file immediately to secure your spot. Always, always verify the company, the job posting, and never download anything from a source you haven't independently verified.
Okay, that's some seriously good advice. This deep dive is getting pretty intense. We've got one more article to cover in this section, and it's a bit technical, but I think it's important. Apparently, the U.S. government is urging businesses to stop using C and C++ programming languages because they're considered insecure. Now, as someone who dabbles in coding, I know these languages are pretty popular and powerful, so this is a bit alarming.
The concern stems from the fact that these languages are memory unsafe, which means they're prone to certain types of vulnerabilities that attackers can exploit to gain unauthorized access or control. This is a particularly serious issue for critical infrastructure systems that rely on C and C++, like power grids or financial systems.
So, is the U.S. government saying everyone should abandon C and C++ completely? That seems like a pretty drastic move, considering how much software is built using these languages.
Not necessarily. C and C++ are still widely used and have their strengths, but it's crucial to be aware of the risks and adopt secure coding practices to mitigate those potential vulnerabilities.
So it's like driving a fast car. You can enjoy the power and speed, but you need to be a skilled driver and know what you're doing to stay safe.
Exactly. It's all about balancing the power of these languages with a responsible approach to security. It's a bit like building a house, you know? You can use the best materials, but if you don't pay attention to the foundation and the structure, the whole thing can become vulnerable.
So it's not just about the tools, it's about how you use them. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that sounds almost too simple to be dangerous. ZIP files. Apparently, hackers can now hide malware in ZIP files by merging multiple archives into one. And most archivers can't even detect it. How is that even possible?
It's a technique called ZIP file concatenation, and it exploits a quirk in how different archivers handle multiple central directories within a single ZIP file. Some archivers might only read the first archive, while others might only display the contents of the second archive. This creates a blind spot that attackers can exploit to slip malicious code past traditional security solutions.
Okay, my brain is trying to picture this. So you're saying you could have one archive that looks completely harmless, like a collection of cat pictures or something, but hidden within that same ZIP file is another archive containing malware, and some archivers wouldn't even know it's there.
Exactly. It's like a Trojan horse hidden inside a seemingly innocent package. And since ZIP files are so commonly used for sharing documents, photos, and all sorts of files, it's a prime target for attackers.
So even something as simple as opening a ZIP file can be dangerous these days. What should our listeners be doing to protect themselves? Should we just stop using ZIP files altogether?
That's probably a bit extreme. ZIP files are still a convenient and widely used format. The key is to be cautious, especially with email attachments, even if they appear to be from a trusted source. If you receive an unexpected ZIP file, especially one related to invoices or deliveries, it's always best to contact the sender directly to confirm its legitimacy before opening it. And, of course, make sure your antivirus software is up to date and that it includes specific protection against this kind of ZIP file attack.
Good advice. It's amazing how hackers keep finding new ways to exploit things we use every day. Speaking of evolving threats, I wanted to go back to something we touched on earlier, AI and its role in cybersecurity. We talked about how AI is being used to supercharge ransomware attacks. But there are other ways AI is impacting the cybersecurity landscape.
Absolutely. We're already seeing AI being used to create highly personalized phishing campaigns that are much harder to detect than traditional phishing emails. Think about it. An AI can analyze your online behavior, your social media posts, even your writing style, and then craft a phishing email that seems like it was written specifically for you, making you much more likely to click on a malicious link or download a dangerous attachment.
So AI is like giving hackers mind-reading abilities,
Sure.
essentially. It sounds like we're fighting an uphill battle here.
It's definitely a challenge, but it's important to remember that AI is a double-edged sword. While hackers are using AI for malicious purposes, the good guys are also using AI to bolster our defenses.
Oh, right. It's like a digital arms race.
Yeah.
With both sides using AI to outmaneuver each other.
Exactly. AI can be used to analyze vast amounts of data, detect patterns, and identify threats in real time, far faster and more effectively than humans can. It can also be used to automate security tasks, like patching vulnerabilities or responding to incidents, freeing up human security analysts to focus on more complex threats.
So AI is both the problem and the solution. It's fascinating how this technology is reshaping the entire cybersecurity landscape.
It is, and it's only going to become more prevalent in the years to come.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. E-skimming, ransomware, malicious packages, phishing scams, the dangers of ZIP files, and even the complexities of programming languages like C and C++ burring. Is there anything else our listeners should be doing to protect themselves in this increasingly treacherous digital world? I'm starting to feel like I need to disconnect from the internet entirely.
Don't worry, you don't need to go off the grid just yet. Remember, knowledge is your best defense. The more you understand these threats, the better equipped you are to avoid them.
Right, so awareness is key. But what about practical steps? What could we do on a daily basis to minimize our risk?
Well, for starters, make sure you're using strong, unique passwords for every account. And enable multi-factor authentication wherever possible. It adds an extra layer of security that makes it much harder for hackers to access your accounts, even if they steal your password.
Okay, that's good basic hygiene. What else?
Keep your software and operating systems up to date. Patches often include security fixes for known vulnerabilities, so those updates are crucial. And as we've been discussing, be cautious about what you click on and what you download, especially from unknown sources. If something seems suspicious or too good to be true, it probably is.
So no clicking on those. You've won a free iPad. Pop-ups. Huh.
Probably a wise decision.
All right. This deep dive has definitely been an eye-opener. Any other parting words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Remember, the threat landscape is constantly changing. There will always be new threats emerging. But with a little knowledge, a healthy dose of caution, and by implementing some basic security practices, you can stay safe and keep coding calmly.
Great advice. This has been a truly insightful exploration of the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity. It definitely feels like cybersecurity is a cat-and-mouse game, with attackers constantly finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities. It's a bit overwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah, I understand that feeling. It's easy to feel powerless in the face of these evolving threats. But remember, the cybersecurity industry is also evolving, constantly developing new technologies and strategies to counter these attacks.
So it's not all doom and gloom. There's hope for us calm coders yet.
Absolutely. There are brilliant minds working tirelessly to build better defenses,
Right.
create more robust systems, and educate people about the risks. It's a constant back and forth, but the good guys are definitely in the game.
That's reassuring to hear. What are some of the promising developments in cybersecurity that you're excited about? What's giving you hope?
One area that's really interesting is the use of AI for threat detection and response. We talked about how AI can be a double-edged sword, but in the right hands, it can be incredibly powerful for defense. Imagine AI systems that can analyze network traffic in real time, identify anomalies, and automatically quarantine infected devices before they can spread malware.
So it's like having a super smart security guard who never sleeps and can spot a threat from a mile away.
Exactly, and that's just one example. There's also a lot of exciting work being done in areas like quantum cryptography, which could revolutionize data encryption and make it virtually impossible for hackers to break through.
Quantum cryptography, that sounds futuristic. Is that something we'll see becoming mainstream anytime soon?
It's still early days, but the potential is huge. There are also more practical things happening right now, like the development of secure coding practices and the increasing focus on cybersecurity education. The more people understand about the risks and how to protect themselves, the better equipped we'll be as a society to defend against these attacks.
It sounds like it's not just about building better technology. It's about fostering a culture of cybersecurity awareness.
Exactly. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. From individual users to large organizations, we all have a role to play in making the digital world a safer place.
Well said. This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. We've covered a lot of ground, from sneaky e-skimming tactics to the evolving world of AI-powered attacks. But we've also learned about the incredible work being done to combat these threats and the power of knowledge and awareness.
I hope this episode has empowered our listeners to be more informed and proactive about their cybersecurity. It's not about living in fear, it's about understanding the risks and taking simple steps to protect ourselves.
Exactly. Don't let the bad guys win. Stay informed, be vigilant, and keep coding calmly. Until next time.